You're listening to Nostalgia Club, the podcast where we look back on our favorite childhood stories and revisit them as adults. At least one of us hasn't read or watched these series, so we also get a first-timer's opinion. Spoiler alert, we will be discussing storylines and future events beyond the first books and episodes, so proceed with caution.
Welcome back to Nostalgia Club. I'm Victoria, and I'm joined by...
Jino!
And Michael.
Wow, we did so good!
I was going to say, contrast that with episode 1's intro, but, I mean, we're already off the rails.
And then I ruined it.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, we're beginning season 2 the way we began season 1. Not only with Victoria doing the intro, but with more warrior cats.
Yeah! Welcome back to...
What? Why'd you look at my face and burst out laughing?
We are back with season 2 of Nostalgia Club, and like Michael said, we're going to start with Warriors. This time we read books 4, 5, and 6 of the original Warrior Cat series, which is now called The Prophecies Begin.
I guess at the top of the episode, we should talk about a few changes with the episode format we're going to have going forward.
Yeah, so we're trying something a little bit different with season 2. We realize sometimes we get into plot territory a little bit too quickly, so we're going to have a little section at the beginning where we just give our general impressions of what we thought about whatever book or series that we're watching and reading.
Spoiler free.
Spoiler free. And then we'll go into the plot summary. I guess to start it off, Michael, as our first time reader, what did you think about these last 3 books in this epic saga?
I thought they were great. I think in a lot of ways they were probably the best ones. Book 1 is here's your plot, here's your characters. We have a pretty clean, relatively clean, conflict set up. There's a little bit of mystery, a little bit of intrigue, and then we wrap it up at the end with a nice button. I remember, I think Jino saying book 2 was a lot of planting, a lot of setup, and book 3 was a lot of payoff. And books 4, 5, and 6 are kind of like continued fallout from all of those payoffs and continued payoffs as we accelerate towards what can be interpreted as a very surprising conclusion in a lot of cases. I think with these books in particular, I read them a lot through, audiobook? So not really reading, just listening. But as a result, not only because of the way these books are written and how much time the prose can take with itself and just sort of sitting in an environment and describing the scenery and describing we've talked about Fireheart goes out into the woods and there's a vole and he goes and he pounces on the vole and it's delicious and it's wild and it's tasty and then no, someone's attacking. There's something about the writing in this that when you just sort of let yourself sit in it, it became for me sort of like a comfort food. Not like I've been dying for this for a month comfort food, but I come home to this every evening and there's nothing too offensive about it. It's just delicious. Some tasty vegetables and I don't know. It's sating. It's very sating. I very much enjoyed just putting this on and just putting on some headphones and just sort of chilling out with it, even when war crimes were happening in the story, which is something else entirely, but I suppose we'll get around to it.
The cats don't have the Geneva Conventions. They're cats. They can commit as many war crimes as they want until they, I guess, enforce themselves, and only then loosely.
That's almost a little too much like humans. Victoria, what was it like going back to these 3 books then after so long being separated?
I am glad that we read these 3 books in succession. I think it would have been weird if we had combined the books in any other sequence. Because like you said, 4, 5, and 6, they go together really well. As soon as you start book 4, it's one long overarching plot to book 6. A lot of the character arcs and the story arcs continue from book 4 all the way to book 6. I was really impressed that I could keep so many cat names in my head because there are some cats who are introduced in book 4 in particular who have much more important storylines in series 2 and 3 and 4. And I could still remember their warrior names even though they're just kittens or apprentices in this series. Although this is kind of sad, but there were some cats who are apprentices in book 4 and 5 where I was sitting there and reading and I was like, man, I don't remember what this cat's warrior name is. And then they died and I was like, oh, that's why. That's why I didn't remember your name. I'm so sorry.
Rip.
And then book 6 in particular made me feel really nostalgic. When we read book 1, I was like, yeah, this is nostalgic. I remember warrior cats being a huge part of my personality. And then I read book 6 and I was like, there are sequences and scenes in this book that are actually just seared into my memory.
Wow.
So that was my feeling reading book 6 in particular.
Looking back now and having reread it, would you say that maybe book 6 was like when it clicked for you as young Victoria?
Probably. I'm sure it clicked for me
Probably
earlier.
early.
Book 6 wraps up a lot of the more prevalent themes of the whole overarching series. I think it just had a huge impression on me as a kid for some particular reason.
Okay, so maybe it clicked early on, but it's cemented with book 6.
Yeah.
Nice. Gino, how is it coming back to these books now? Because from our season 1 recap episode, we learned that not only did you read these when you were younger, but you reread them a later time when you were, I guess, on a vacation of some sort, right? Out in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, in high school.
Yes. So what was the third return then, I suppose, of these books?
Amazing. It was fantastic. Hey, listener. Hey, in your car or maybe on your phone, on the toilet, we know who you are. Maybe you're in your early 20s, maybe your early 30s. Hey, read these books. Read these books. They're really good. You always say to yourself, oh man, I wish I read more books. I didn't read any books this year. Hey, here's 6 books. Here's 6 books you can read real fast. They're real short. They do circle back on themselves a lot. But by the time you get to books 4 or 5, you can kind of tell whenever a character is starting to go into reminiscing mode, into recap mode, and you kind of just skim past that paragraph and you don't miss anything. Hey, read these books. They are best consumed all at once in lightning succession because that's kind of how they're paced. They're paced out like one long story with a lot of small slice of life segments and then large, life-changing, forest-shaking events. 1 or 2 for each book. 4, 5, and 6 each have a distinct, at least one, forest-shaking event. And you just got to read these books. Don't be embarrassed. Don't feel ashamed. You've read 6 books. It took you 2 weeks. It's a great feeling. Now you want to be a cat?
That one maybe you can feel a little self-conscious about, depending on how far you take it.
I want to be a cat. My cat just sleeps all day.
Sleeps
the
all day.
sun.
Eat out, bowl, poop in box. It's a great life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that you really break it down, I rescind what I just said. That sounds pretty great.
4, 5, and 6, I agree with Victoria. A lot of the nostalgia came hitting my heart and my brain. 1 is iconic because it's the first one, obviously. 2 and 3, it's a lot of world building, it's a lot of setup, it's a lot of character establishment. We get some smaller arcs that mostly serve to develop Fire, Paw, Heart, Stars, character progression. I mean, are you surprised? We knew that was going to happen.
We knew.
But 4, 5, and 6, that's when the world expands. That's when politics become very intricate and important. The danger escalates. The force isn't safe. So read these books. Go to your library, get these books, sit down in your tiny little apartment, and read them.
Nice. That sounds very nice.
Ah, well, what a wonderful vibe summation we've just performed. Hopefully there are many more like it to come. And this episode format remains. I think perhaps now, should we get into a little plot summary?
Oh, how much plot there is to get into.
These books move fast.
Yes, a lot happens. For this one, we actually wrote up the plot summaries because there are 3 books, and we knew that if we tried to just go at them unscripted, we would get so sidetracked so fast, and it would become like the Naruto episode. So for your ease of listening, we are going to summarize the 3 books, and then we will get into our analysis and discussion and whatnot. We pick up at the beginning of book 4. In the prologue, we learn that ShadowClan is dealing with a mysterious sickness. Their medicine cat, Running Nose, great medicine cat name, receives a prophecy from StarClan that ShadowClan has a glorious future, but they would pay the highest possible price for their great new dawn. Meanwhile, in ThunderClan, Fireheart is dealing with the aftermath of Tigerclaw's exile. Bluestar is still traumatized from Tigerclaw's betrayal, so Fireheart has to take over a lot of her leader duties, while also learning the ropes as a new, inexperienced deputy. There are still cats who don't trust his leadership, but a more senior warrior, Whitestorm, backs him up and also helps keep an eye on Bluestar. Bluestar tries to make a trip to the Moonstone to get in contact with StarClan, but WindClan won't let her through since they're still mad about ThunderClan harboring Broken Tail. This prompts Blue Star to believe that StarClan has abandoned her clan, a decline in her faith that continues throughout the next 2 books. As a new deputy, Fireheart has many things to deal with, like Cinderpelt secretly helping sick ShadowClan cats, and Fireheart's apprentice Cloudpaw disrespecting the warrior code. Tigerclaw attacks the ThunderClan patrol with some of Broken Tail's old rogues, but luckily RiverClan shows up to help. They keep guard of the borders day and night in case Tigerclaw attacks, but what they don't expect is for a fire to sweep through the forest. Most of the ThunderClan cats are able to evacuate and take shelter in RiverClan, but they discover that 2 of the elders, Halftail and Patchpelt, and one of the kits, Bramblekit, specifically Tigerclaw's son, are missing. Yellowfang and Fireheart rush back to find them, rescuing Patchpelt and Bramblekit, but Yellowfang and Halftail get trapped behind a burning tree, and Fireheart is forced to leave them behind. When the fire is put out, Fireheart goes back to look for Yellowfang and finds her just as she is about to die. Fireheart is devastated by this loss and wonders if he hadn't gone back to save Tigerclaw's son, would Yellowfang have died? Afterwards, the ThunderClan cats return to rebuild, and they're optimistic that the forest will heal. Blue Star, however, is even more disheartened and refuses to go to the next gathering. Fireheart leads the clan there instead, and at this gathering, they learn that Tigerclaw, now Tiger Star, is the new leader of ShadowClan.
Bum, bum, bum. What a 180 for Tigerclaw. Star. Book 5. A dangerous path, and boy, do they go down some dangerous paths. In the prologue, a pack of bloodthirsty guard dogs break loose from two-leg/human place and tear into the woods around ThunderClan, ready to cause carnage. Meanwhile, in ThunderClan, Fireheart and his cats return from the gathering where they just learned about Tiger Star's appointment as leader of ShadowClan. Fireheart hopes that this will sate Tiger Star's thirst for power, but Blue Star takes this news as evidence that ShadowClan and the rest have betrayed ThunderClan. In her declining state, Blue Star refuses to promote apprentices to warriors, and when a young kitten named Snow Kid is taken by a hawk, she announces that even StarClan has betrayed them. Fireheart adopts almost all her duties and promotes Tiger Star's kits to apprentices. He even takes Tiger Star's son, Bramblepaw, as his own apprentice and protects him from Tiger Star's attempts to claim his kits from ShadowClan. While this goes on, Cinderpelt receives dreams of brutish creatures saying pack, pack, and kill, kill. What could those be? Who knows? When scraps of prey, obviously left by dogs, are discovered in the woods, Blue Star erroneously claims that WoodenClan is to blame and threatens war. Fireheart goes behind her back to negotiate peace, and doing so convinces Blue Star that he has betrayed her as well. At the next gathering, RiverClan announces that their leader, Crooked Star, has died, and that his deputy, Leopard Fur, will succeed him as Leopard Star. Leopard Star's first act is to try and retake Sunning Rocks from ThunderClan, but she's unsuccessful. During the battle, Blue Star reveals to the RiverClan warriors, Mistyfoot and Stonefur, that she is their true mother. Confused, they reject her and retreat. While this happens, 2 ThunderClan apprentices, resentful for being passed over in promotions, try to find the supposed dog hunting in their territory, but one is killed and the other is maimed. The ThunderClan cats learn that there isn't just one dog, but a whole pack, kill of them loose in the territory. Worst of all, Tiger Star is luring the dogs to ThunderClan's camp, still intent on his revenge. ThunderClan successfully diverts the pack to the River Gorge, but Fireheart is trapped. Before he can be killed, Blue Star comes to his rescue and tumbles into the gorge with the pack leader. Fireheart dives in after her, pulls her from the river with the help of Stonefur and Mistyfoot, who accept Blue Star as their mother. Before she dies, Blue Star names Fireheart as the next leader, revealing that he is the cat of the prophecy, the fire who will save ThunderClan. Whoa!
Who'd have thunk it?
What a twist!
Crazy.
They are cats. Cut them some slack.
That's true.
They've never been to school.
Limited object permanence. And now we have Book 6, The Darkest Hour. In the prologue, Tiger Star travels with a cat named Boulder to a group of alley cats in Two Leg Place, also known as just like, a human place. Their leader is named Scourge, and they call themselves BloodClan. Tiger Star makes a deal with Scourge. He'll give Scourge and BloodClan a share of his territory if BloodClan helps him become leader of all 4 clans. Because of Scourge's small size, Tiger Star is confident that he will pose no threat. At the same time, Cinderpelt takes Fireheart to Highstones to receive his 9 lives and become Firestar, the new leader of ThunderClan. The ceremony is interrupted near the end, when Firestar receives an ominous vision of a hill of bones and a river of blood. Blue Star appears and gives him the prophecy, 4 will become 2, Lion and tiger will meet in battle, and blood will rule the forest. Firestar returns to his clan and tells Brackenfur to keep an eye on Tigerstar's old apprentice, Darkstripe. Darkstripe eventually reveals his true colors when he poisons Sorrelkit for witnessing one of his acts of treachery. Luckily, she survives, and Darkstripe is exiled from ThunderClan. Then, at the next gathering, it's revealed that Leopardstar has agreed to join RiverClan with ShadowClan to become part of Tigerstar's new TigerClan. WindClan and ThunderClan refuse to join. Greystripe then becomes concerned about his kits, Stormpaw and Featherpaw, in RiverClan, so he and Firestar go to check on them. Ravenpaw shows up to pay his respects to Bluestar and joins them on their mission. They witness Greystripe's kits, Mistyfoot and Stonefur, being held as prisoners for being half-clan cats. Tigerstar orders Stonefur to kill Stormpaw and Featherpaw, but he refuses, and is therefore executed by Darkstripe and Blackfoot. When the apprentices and Mistyfoot are taken back to RiverClan, the 3 ThunderClan cats help them break out and take them back to ThunderClan territory. Later that day, TigerClan attacks WindClan and leaves their camp destroyed and many warriors injured. An apprentice, Gorsepaw, is killed by Tigerstar as a warning. Firestar and Tallstar decide to form an alliance called LionClan, as Bluestar prophesied. They meet up with Tigerstar and prepare to fight, but are shocked by the appearance of BloodClan. Hoping to resolve this peacefully, Firestar tells everyone of Tigerstar's crimes. Scourge then decides that there will be no battle, and he will think about what Firestar has told him. Tigerstar is enraged by Scourge's refusal to fight, so he attacks him. But Scourge quickly slays him, ripping Tigerstar up and draining him of all 9 lives at once. Ew. All the forest cats are horrified to witness this, and TigerClan disbands. Scourge tells Firestar that the forest cats have 3 days to either leave or fight BloodClan for their home. The 4 clans decide to unite and go to battle against BloodClan. Many warriors perish in the fight, and Firestar loses his first life, but he is able to return and kill Scourge. After the death of their leader, BloodClan falls back, and the 4 clans return to normalcy in the forest.
Or do they?
Oh,
They do for a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's also like a
bajillion other books. So clearly something happened.
A couple clarifications, because I realized I wrote this 3rd summary and left out some key details. One is that at the end of book 5, Greystripe returns to ThunderClan.
Oh yeah, huh?
Yeah. All right, so we've summarized it. That was kind of fun, actually, because the 3 of us read them very differently. So
I messed up a lot, but you won't know that because I'm cutting it out.
the power of editing. So now we can get into the fun part, which is complaining about all the cats, because there are a lot of cats to complain about in these 3 books.
Just spilling all the tea on these fictional, hypersentient cats.
I guess we should start with the big bad, which is Tigerclaw.
Depending on your point of view.
That's true, yeah.
From my point of view, Fireheart is evil. That's a bad Anakin impression. Cut that out.
No.
No!
Fireheart is not evil, but he is very dumb. He's so dumb.
In these 3 books, he gets like 1 or 2 extra little side prophecies, right? From his old crush, Spotted Leaf, from book 1.
Yeah, there's a recurring theme of Fireheart consistently just having dreams. I think because he's searching for guidance from StarClan during this time when Bluestar no longer believes in StarClan. He's a new deputy and he just doesn't know what to do. His best friend is in RiverClan. He doesn't really have that much support, so he goes to StarClan and he's like, help me, and StarClan is not the most helpful.
He goes to them a lot.
Every time he goes to sleep, he calls out for Spotted Leaf. And it even gets to the point where Spotted Leaf is like, stop. Chill. Not quite in those words, but that's the general vibe that she gives off. So Tigerclaw, he's now the leader of ShadowClan, and he is up to no good.
I do really wonder, though, how he, rose to the head of ShadowClan in a way. I mean, we understand that basically there's been a power vacuum because ShadowClan got just wrecked by a plague.
Yeah.
And their old leader dies and a bunch of them die. But I do wonder I do wonder if it was literally just a situation where Tiger Claw rolled up, because none of the other clans know about his crimes. ThunderClan is keeping it on the down low for political reasons and trying to still look like they have their stuff together. But I do wonder if he just rolled up like, ooh, wow, this place is a mess. Do you want? I can be your leader if you want. I do wonder if they're like, but why aren't you back at ThunderClan, deputy of ThunderClan?
Well, they know that he was exiled.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they know that he was exiled. They just don't know the reasons. Yeah. Blue Star announces that Tiger Claw is no longer part of ThunderClan, but they decide not to reveal that he betrayed them because it makes ThunderClan look weak.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so definitely the political tensions in these 3 books is really interesting. What I really realized, especially in book 5, is that Tiger Claw is a really good politician.
Yeah.
ThunderClan believed that he was loyal to his core until the very end, except for Fireheart. But Fireheart knew things that other cats did not. Tiger Claw is very knowledgeable on how to manipulate other cats' emotions. He knows that he appears strong. And for ShadowClan, who's just been through this great devastating sickness, they just had another bad leader before that, Broken Star, who was not great. But after Broken Star, they didn't really have a leader because Broken Star basically took all of the strong cats with him. And they all became rogues. Yeah. So now ShadowClan is at their weakest, basically. And so their new leader becomes Nightstar. But Nightstar, he's basically an elder. He's pretty old. He's not at the peak strength of a younger cat. And it's revealed later on, actually, that Nightstar never received his 9 lives. Something happened where StarClan was like, nope, you're not going to get those 9 lives. The medicine cat Running Nose thinks it's maybe because StarClan might still see Broken Tail as the leader of ShadowClan, and so they don't give Nightstar his 9 lives. That's a secret that only Nightstar and Running Nose know. And so when Nightstar dies, the other cats in the clan think that their leader lost all 9 of his lives from this sickness. So they're terrified. So in walks Tiger Star, and he's very strong. All the cats know that he's really powerful.
Yeah.
He probably manipulated them to explain why he left ThunderClan.
Yeah,
you know?
I can definitely, with all of the very compelling speeches he gives in these books, I can certainly imagine.
We don't know what he said, but it was probably Blue Star, she's a little crazy or something like that. I'm sure he could have probably said that, and the ShadowClan cats would be like, yeah, that checks out. Because obviously Blue Star is losing it.
Yeah. So why did you get banished? I'm just imagining him totally uncharacteristically going Blue Star, she's kind of, and just sort of a shouldering, yeah, I guess. What's your plan? Shut up, that's my plan.
Yeah. It's honestly even a bit chilling that he shows up to this gathering where it's revealed that he is the leader, and he acts totally normal. He acts like any leader would, and it even convinces Fireheart. Fireheart's like, maybe Tiger Star won't actually go after ThunderClan anymore because he got what he wanted. He got to be a leader.
Yeah, though to be fair, it doesn't take a whole lot to convince Fireheart of a dubious concept.
Fireheart's dealing with so much, he's just like, I'll take whatever I can get.
Maybe the universe will finally throw me a bone for once.
Tiger Star does a lot of messed up stuff. He tries to find out who Blue Star's kids... Well, he doesn't know that they're Blue Star's kids, but he knows that Mistyfoot and Stonefur are half clan cats because Greypool, who is their adopted mother, lets it slip. It's like a horrible scene where
really
Greypool is about to die. She's about to slip and fall, and Tiger Star shows up, and he's talking to her, and he's like, tell me who the cat's mother is. And she's
he doesn't ask her that. He just shows up, and she just starts talking to him because she's hallucinating. She thinks that he's Oakheart.
Yeah.
And Tiger Star just lets it happen, gathers information, lets her fall, walks away.
Yeah, but he doesn't learn that Blue Star is the mother yet. He just knows Oakheart's the father. Greypool is not their actual mother. And it's someone from ThunderClan.
It's not too hard to put the pieces together.
Yeah, but he just doesn't have confirmation.
Yeah. I think Tiger Star's greatest asset is honestly his ability to manipulate the other cat's belief in StarClan. Because he has excellent control over Running Nose. He was able to manipulate Running Nose's prophecy. During clan meetings, he controls whether Running Nose appears or not. So he can make claims about StarClan and not have his medicine cat there to verify. And so his claims seem legitimate. And Running Nose is just trying to do what's best for his clan. He's trying to make them strong again so they can recover from this disease. And so he's going to leap at any chance he gets. Here is a medicine cat who is willing to take that chance with Tiger Star because there's nowhere else to turn.
Yeah. The StarClan themes in these 3 books is really fascinating because we get to see cats with a whole range of beliefs. I know they hinted at it in books 1 through 3, but in these books it becomes really apparent. The different dynamics between cats who believe in StarClan and the ones who don't.
Yeah, it's fascinating because you have the cats who consider StarClan like a deity, like a pseudo-magical divine power that's from above and lightly brushes upon the cats' lives. Scourge views StarClan like this. He doesn't believe in StarClan, but that's his idea of StarClan, is that they're this higher power, magical fairy dust effect. Barley considers StarClan almost like a tangible force. Like, oh, you guys have StarClan. I don't have StarClan. StarClan is a tool. StarClan is a power that you have, right? You have your 9 lives. You have your power of prophecy. You have your healing, magic, junk, whatever. I live in a barn. I don't have that, and I'm okay with that.
I actually thought it was really interesting that Barley believes in StarClan. Ravenpaw and Barley actually show up quite a bit in these 3 books, and they help out a lot, which is really great.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, I was like, I wonder, because Ravenpaw, he was a clan cat, so obviously he believes in StarClan. I guess not obviously, because there are clan cats who don't believe, but whatever. You know what I mean? I was just curious. I was like, I wonder what Barley thinks about StarClan in comparison to Ravenpaw. I was like, do they have discussions about it?
I mean, they must.
Yeah, it's just the 2 of them in this barn. What else are they going to talk about but have deep existential discussions about religion?
And what is it else about Barley? We were talking about a bit earlier. He has that hidden implied past with BloodClan.
He has a secret BloodClan past, which just pops up out of nowhere. Basically, at the end of the series, when Firestar is at a loss of what to do about Scourge, Barley shows up and he's like, hey, I got some insider knowledge for you. He's the one who tells Firestar that Scourge's weakness is that he doesn't believe in StarClan, which at first Firestar is like, I don't really get what that means. And later on, he's like, oh, it just means that Scourge doesn't have the 9 lives of a leader. He might be the leader of BloodClan, but he doesn't have StarClan's quote unquote blessing. So if you kill Scourge, he's dead. I also thought it was interesting the difference between how certain cats die. So there's Darkstripe, who betrays ThunderClan. He tries to murder a kid and then goes to join Tiger Star.
That asshole.
Yeah.
I'll meow that out.
He is a real jerk. I was enjoying a lot of the lead up to that in a way where at first he's just a very begrudging cat who's still sort of loyal to ThunderClan, but at the same time feels loyalty to Tiger Claw, later Tiger Star. And at the end of book 5, when all the stuff with the pack of dogs is happening, Fireheart sees Darkstripe sort of fleeing with Tiger Star's kits. And he stops Darkstripe and he calls him out, basically, did you know about this?
Yeah.
This act of essentially,
trying to murder our
genocide, our whole clan's,
Yeah.
gonna die. And Darkstripe seems legitimately conflicted. He's like, I didn't know. I knew something was happening, but I didn't know it was this.
Yeah.
He just told me to get his kids out. And so it's not good, but at the same time, you can see all this conflict in him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he really makes it very clear how far
Yeah.
he's willing to go and where his alliance is when he tries to kill a child in
I
book
think
6.
Darkstripe just generally doesn't like Fireheart.
It's that kitty pet bias.
Yeah.
He's a racist cat.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. He ends up dying in that last fight with Scourge. He actually tries to attack Firestar. Or he does attack Firestar, and he almost kills him, but Graystripe manages to save Firestar, and then Graystripe kills Darkstripe.
That honestly surprised me. Just, I know they're warrior cats, but my perception of these books, looking back, as an adult looking back to my child self reading these, I don't remember that much death. I don't remember that much killing. And
There's
so
a lot of
rereading
death.
these books, they kill each other a lot.
Yeah.
And it's almost casual at a certain point.
Isn't that strange? I feel like we've talked about this before, like the presence of like mature themes or whatever in like kids media. I feel like reading books like these, there can be a lot of death, or like character A kills character B, kills character C. And like as a kid, you almost just like, you just kind of like accept it. Like it's maybe it just feels less visceral because you have to like grow up. You have to grow up and get older for like the actual weight of like, no, murder, violence, all of these things. Like in a lot of cases, it takes some growing up to actually like have that kind of thing like really land with you. That when you're a kid, and not everyone comes from the same circumstances, of course, but if you're a kid and all you're watching is like, I don't know, Disney movies or superhero things, and violence is very sanitized and bland, it's hard to like really make that connection.
If you die in a video, like kids say, oh, I die, or like I killed him, or whatever, all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like I hit her with my sword and she broke into a million pieces and I got her stuff. That's just like
it's a mechanic.
Kid lingo. And so when you read that, you're just like, oh, Dark Stripe died. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's just
only
a story thing.
Going back. On a very base level, it is just like, Gray Stripe is fighting in a battle for survival. Someone attacked his leader. He's going to kill him and move on because that's what he has to do. He's a warrior.
Yeah.
On a different level, you could, and this isn't fair to the books, but you could almost read this as a commentary on like who deserves to die. Because when Gray Stripe accidentally kills that RiverClan warrior in an earlier book, he feels devastated. Everyone's like, oh, Gray Stripe killed that RiverClan warrior.
They make a huge deal of cats killing other cats in earlier books, but I think at this point they're like, we're at war. It doesn't matter. Just kill whoever.
Yeah, it's almost like a commentary of like, oh, like that was not an honorable death. Like that was a good person, good cat. I don't know. Like that was not morally good. But Dark Stripe is an asshole. We can kill Dark Stripe and it's fine. Let's kill the next one.
Yeah.
I guess like they kind of justify it by saying, well, Dark Stripe was going to kill Firestar.
Yeah.
So I guess,
It is that is a good point. This idea of like conventions of war and conventions of violence, like in a border skirmish, where we're just batting at each other because what are you doing in our territory?
Yeah.
It's like less okay for someone to die. But if it's an all-out war, it's like, you know how ThunderClan said we don't kill cats? Yeah, just strike that from the record real quick. We'll reinstate it after.
But Darkstripe's death is actually really dark.
Yeah.
He says something.
No pun intended.
Yeah. He literally says, there's nothing, I only see darkness, and then he dies. Meanwhile, back to my original point about StarClan, when Whitestorm dies, Whitestorm who becomes Firestar's deputy when he becomes leader, when Whitestorm dies, he's more at peace with it. He's saying, it's my time, I'm ready to go hunt with StarClan.
He is very old.
He is pretty old.
He's the GOAT.
He's great. Whitestorm is such a reliable dude.
When they had that passage of Fireheart looking at Whitestorm and realizing Whitestorm was preparing to die, like before the battle even started, I was like, no.
Yeah.
Whitestorm, no, don't give in.
I know I talked about Brackenfur being like the one cat with like a level head, but that's not totally true. Whitestorm is like the one, like thank goodness Fireheart had Whitestorm in his corner from like the whole time.
Without Whitestorm, that entire clan would have fallen apart.
Yeah.
Book 4.
It's true. Whitestorm, basically, he becomes Blue Star's rock. When she starts to lose her mind, he's always there to remind her, hey, you gotta eat, hey, you gotta sleep, take this medicine, it's gonna make you feel better. He reassures Fireheart that he's keeping an eye on Blue Star because Fireheart is dealing with so much. He doesn't have time to worry about Blue Star. But luckily, Whitestorm is there and can reassure him.
We stan Whitestorm.
Yeah, we really do. The belief in StarClan is really interesting. And they actually get more into the StarClan lore. In the final battle, Firestar loses a life. And he goes and he has a conversation with StarClan. And he kind of is conflicted at this point. He's like, why did StarClan set us up for this? Honestly, ThunderClan has been through so much. They had to deal with fire, dogs, their leader, conflict between clans, Tiger Star, and now BloodClan. So I think Firestar is at the end of his rope. But then he has a conversation with StarClan and they say, hey, we are not really what the cats think, where we control everything that you do. It's your choice whether you believe in us, whether you follow what we ask of you, whether you follow the warrior code, etc. We just observe and we don't interfere.
Except for when we resurrect you from the dead 9 times.
It's a really fascinating take on this sort of religious culture of the importance of free will. We want you to make choices. We are here to offer guidance and advice and sometimes magic miracles, but mostly we are simply tangible ghost cats who live in the stars. And sometimes we see things and we go, hey, Fireheart will save the clan. What?
Hey, Fireheart, there's someone in your clan you can't trust. Someone who is pretending to sleep right now. Okay, let's see who's pretending to sleep. Well, Darkstripe's pretending to sleep, and I don't trust him. But wait a minute. There's 2 very sick, very young Shadow Clan cats hiding in a tree out in the woods. I bet they're pretending to sleep right now. Fireheart, no.
Okay, we gotta talk about how dumb Fireheart is.
Fireheart, there's at least one dog in the forest. How many dogs? At least one. I think there's one. Hey, Fireheart! Pack! A pack of what? Anyway, there's one dog in the forest.
A pack of teeth in one dog's mouth.
This is the one case, actually, where Fireheart being a kitty pet comes back to bite him. Because White Storm says, hey, I think there's a dog in the forest. I think we should check in on that. I'm worried about it. And Fireheart's like, it's fine. Dogs are always with their humans. We don't have to worry about it. And then it happens multiple times. Like, literally, humans show up to look for their dogs, and Fireheart's like, what are these humans doing here? I mean, he gets it eventually, but it's like so many cats get hurt until he figures it out.
It is interesting.
Aren't there cats who know human?
Princess, I think. Princess can pick up on certain words because she's a kitty pet.
Oh,
she lives with humans.
They need a translator. That should be right under medicine cat.
Yeah.
Fourth most important position, the translator. When the 2 legs walk through the forest, they can listen. Be like, oh, yeah, they're going to cut down this section of the forest. We should leave. Or, hey, it's something called fire season. Don't know what fire season is, but we should prep for fire.
Fire season? Hey, Firestar. Sounds like good news for you, whatever it is. Oh, no! Oh, this is the opposite of good news.
Hey, anyone know what a music festival is? It's in the forest. I don't know. Let's not worry about it. Hey, Shadow Clan, what are you guys up to? Get out of our territory. Oh, my God!
What is this noise?
Do you guys know what Brexit is? They keep talking about Brexit. This is set in the United Kingdom.
In case you forgot from episode 1.
They all talk like this. Name's Fireheart.
I thought we were done with insulting.
With potentially completely dissuading any listener from the British Isles from listening.
Good. No. No.
We're kidding. Please listen. We appreciate you, I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
Rate 1 star if you're British.
Let us know you're here. Rate us 1 star on your podcast app of choice. Please don't do that. We have so few ratings right now.
What were we
It'll
talking
completely
about?
screw up the whole...
We're talking about Fireheart's dumb. Being
Fireheart's
dumb. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to talk about Fireheart and Sandstorm because...
yeah.
Fireheart is literally as dense as a sack of rocks. He's just...
I keep landing on this. There's a moment in, I don't know, book 4 or 5, one of those, I think, where he has this moment of you know what? I got to look at what's right in front of me. And he's referring to Sandstorm. And he's been spending so much time with Sandstorm. They care so much about each other. And when he thinks about that, he's thinking about Sandstorm in reference to Spotted Leaf, the cat who died in book 1, whom we never get any real scenes between him and Spotted Leaf with, but he's still caught up.
Literally, he didn't even spend time with Spotted Leaf. It was just him as an apprentice being like, wow, this cat is so nice.
Yeah.
She says one thing to him and he wildly misinterprets it for the rest of his life.
Honestly, vibes.
No, I thought
it's a very young vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be like that when you're not a preteen or whatever. Wow, she said one word to me. Incredible. But Fireheart never seems to grow beyond that until the end of his character.
Until Cinderpelt literally is like, Fireheart, stop pining over Spotted Leaf. Stop it.
Stop being a simp, Fireheart.
There's
Stop
a perfectly
simping
good
for a
cat
ghost.
right here.
There's even I don't know whether to applaud it or, because it made me feel kind of weird, but when Sandstorm gets jealous of Cinderpelt,
Yeah. Victoria and I were
it's
talking
weird.
about this.
Because Cinderpelt was Fireheart's apprentice.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Yes.
a weird
So I
power
did
dynamic.
And she's
do-
also a cat nun, so she can't, marry
Yeah.
or whatever.
I was like, I'm pretty sure this comes back later, but I thought it would be in this series, and it does not come back in this series. It actually comes back in a much later series. I don't remember if it's for sure, like, Cinderpelt says, hey, Firestar, I actually had a huge crush on you for, like, my entire life. But that's the implication. Cinderpelt has a crush on Firestar, but she knows that she's a medicine cat, and she knows that Sandstorm also likes Firestar, and that Firestar likes Sandstorm. So she's basically just accepted, like, yeah, Firestar's probably going to get together with Sandstorm. And I'm fine with that. I'm going to, like, help him make it happen because he's stupid. Yeah.
What a supportive friend.
Yeah. But obviously Sandstorm picks up on it. And so there's like a weird tension between Sandstorm and Cinderpelt that isn't really explained. Even when Firestar and Sandstorm get together, they never address it. It literally comes back in a later book. I think... Ooh, that's a big spoiler, though.
Is this about Cinderpelt?
Yeah.
Well, I think you told us in, like, the first episode that Cinderpelt... Now I'm afraid to say it. We warned you about spoilers, listener. Cinderpelt gets, like, reincarnated?
Yeah. If I'm remembering correctly, it's maybe right at the end when Cinderpelt dies. She maybe tells Firestar at that point that she, like, loves him or whatever. But at that point, like, Firestar already has, like, kids. Like, Sandstorm's been his mate for a while. It's just, like, Cinderpelt saying, like, I just want you to know.
Firestar, I always wanted you to know you're, like, mad hot.
Get it? Fire, hot, and now I'm a baby.
Here's where it gets weirder, though, is because Cinderpelt gets reincarnated. And then she dates Firestar's grandson.
Huh.
So...
Hey, take what you can
Yeah.
get.
Anyways, the point is the weird love triangle is weird. And they don't really address it. And I don't like it. I think it's silly.
Hashtag this episode with hashtag weird love triangle is weird. Hashtag nostalgia club.
How do they hashtag this episode?
I don't know. I'm an old man.
Comment the hashtag in the comments of your podcast platform of choice, but not Spotify. I don't think they have comments on Spotify.
No, go to your social media platform of choice and hashtag nostalgia club and then hashtag weird love triangle is weird and then write like a 5-paragraph post about how much you like this episode of Nostalgia Club.
Thank you in advance.
Thank you in advance.
One thing that Fireheart does, Firestar, names.
It's all the same.
All the same. Firecat taking Tiger Star's kit as his apprentice just to keep an eye on him
Okay.
was the, don't do that. Do a child.
In book 4, literally every 5 pages, there is some mention of Fireheart looks at Bramblekit. Bramblekit's just, like, doing nothing. Bramblekit's, like, breathing, or he's just sitting there. And
There's, like,
Fireheart
drool
is, like...
coming out of his mouth, and Fireheart's like...
Bramblekit's eyes are crossed, and he's just, like, blinking inconsistently.
Like, I get it. Bramblekit looks a lot like Tiger Star. I've mentioned this in previous episodes, but I didn't realize how often Firestar just zones in on this poor child and is like, you're up to something suspicious. Like, Fireheart's traumatized or whatever, but, like, this is a child.
Yeah.
There are moments where Bramblekit is play fighting with some of the other kittens, and Fireheart freaks out. He runs over, and he's like, what are you doing? And then Goldenflower, who's Bramblekit's mom, is like, dude,
Bruh.
he's fine. I know that you're looking at him because he's Tiger Star's son. He's just living his life. I don't want him to know that Tiger Star is his father. Actually, later on, she decides, because Tiger Claw comes back as Tiger Star, and so she's like, we need to tell them, but I want you, Fireheart, to tell them, and you better do it before it's too late, because my kids know how other cats are looking at them, and, like, you gotta explain to them why that's happening.
It's a very cool subplot.
Yes.
And you get some really cool scenes specifically between Fireheart and Bramblepaw. There's a kind of version of Firestar taking Bramblepaw as his own that I like in a way, because he's partly like just trying to make sure Tigerstar doesn't take his kits away, and so he wants to keep an eye on him for that. But it is extremely obnoxious how many times he looks at him and is like,
I think
maybe you're gonna turn psychopathic out of nowhere.
Yeah, the motivation for him taking Bramblekit as his apprentice is not great, but it actually works out for the best because he ends up growing to understand Bramblepaw, and they actually develop like a pretty good relationship. This was cool for me as like a nostalgic feeling because Bramblekit becomes so important. I honestly didn't realize that he was already an apprentice in this first series.
Yeah.
I forgot about that because so much happens. And obviously cat lifespans are weird. So in my head, I was like, oh, like Bramblepaw becomes an apprentice like in the next series. And I was like, oh no, he's like actually like a very prominent character in this first series.
Yeah, and there's some great writing. I think you referenced this scene, but it's a fantastic scene where they both find themselves near Firestar's old kitty pet home, and Firestar says, oh yeah, sometimes I feel ostracized because of where I come from. And Bramblepaw's like, I feel ostracized because of my father.
Yeah.
You're just like me, and I'm just like you. It's Princess and the Pauper. Get it? Pauper.
No, wow, actually both sections of that word work. Paw, purr.
And Princess is right over there.
Oh,
You're
my
right.
sister, Princess.
Yeah,
Oh
wow.
my gosh,
Whoa.
this is a wild cross. This is supernatural. StarClan, what have you done? But yeah, it's a great scene. Given how much we've seen how these other cats behave a lot of the time and how just absolutely like single-minded a lot of them can be, it speaks a lot to like Bramblepaw's like
emotional intelligence.
Yeah, because he has to deal with a major like frame shift in his view of the world and view of himself very early on. You know, Darkstripe takes him to meet his father once, and he's always been taught my father was a great warrior, and then he realizes my father was not only just a great warrior and a ThunderClan cat, but now he's leader of ShadowClan. That's wild. And then immediately, basically, has to get told by Firestar, okay, here's the truth about your dad. He tried to perform a violent coup. He's done a lot of awful things. And Bramblepaw has to, like, contend with this reality and all this weird, like, emotional turmoil, like, looking at the leader of his clan who looks at him and sees a potential enemy and, like, reaches out in his own way to make an empathic connection to his leader. And you're just like, this is a good cat.
Yeah.
This is a very
This
smart
cat is like
cat.
6 months old. He's already smarter than Firestar was at that age.
His sister, on the other hand, reacts in a very different way.
Yeah.
I think justifiably upset at her life, her circumstances, and decides to just get out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of Dodge. People here don't like me. I'm out of here.
It's a good piece of like character growth for her because so much attention had been focused on Bramblepaw. Firestar's always looking at Bramblepaw like, I don't know about you, but he should have been looking at Tawnypaw because she's the one who goes, I'm going to ShadowClan later, suckers.
Yeah.
Yeah. She tries, though. She tries really hard to be a ThunderClan cat, but the looks that she gets from the other cats gets to her more than Bramblepaw. I think for Bramblepaw, he sees what others think of him as like a reason to prove himself. Whereas Tawnypaw feels that she can never really truly be loyal to ThunderClan because no one is loyal to her.
Yeah.
She's not going to trust these cats to watch her back, so why should she fight for them? So I think it's like very justified that she goes to ShadowClan. It's not really her fault that her father did all the things that he did.
Of course.
And she's just looking for a place that feels more like home.
It's that dang small ear. Just ribbing the kids.
Oh, yeah.
It's really interesting because it's a lot of the elders keep making jabs at the apprentices, and it really gets to Tawnypaw.
It feels true to life, and it feels
Yeah.
accurate in the world building because the kits and the apprentices spend a lot of time with the elders, and in previous books we've heard a lot about how the elders are wiser and they're kind of grumpy, but they know what's up. But this is another side of them, that they are very influential, and they can be stubborn, and they can be hurtful, and they can cause problems.
Meanwhile, they all just love Cloudtail.
Speaking of Cloudtail,
Yeah.
he has a huge personality 180 in a great way.
Mm-hmm.
Because he finds young love. And then
Well, first he gets
something-
kidnapped.
Yeah.
Something horrible happens, and then he finds young love, and then something horrible happens,
But then he keeps young
and
love.
he keeps young love.
you know how at the very beginning I was like, wow, I've remembered so many cats' names. I actually forgot that Cloudpaw becomes Cloudtail. I was like, oh, he's Cloudtail? But Cloudtail was so much more tolerable than Cloudpaw is. Cloudpaw is so annoying. But now he's like actually like, he's like a really good cat.
That little friggin' stinker. He's taking food from humans. That's what Victoria meant in the synopsis when she said like, Cloudpaw disrespecting the warrior code.
Yeah.
He's just like going to like humans like every day and just like hanging out and eating food and not really doing much. And then they take him away to maybe get his sorry. And then they take him away to visit potentially whatever, the Clipper as
That's
it's called.
actually not what happens because he does have kids later.
Well, I don't think it actually happened.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, they take him away and a little rescue mission has to get launched. And he's like, I swear I'll never break the warrior code again.
I think it's more likely that Cloudpaw just like got like microchipped or something.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Like they obviously took him to the vet to like get checked out or something. The vet was probably like, hey, do you want to neuter this cat? And they're like, well, maybe we'll wait on that. But the vet was at least like, okay, we got to like give him his shots. He's going to be the most healthy cat.
That's true.
He does. I mean, this is big spoilers. Currently in Warrior Cat canon, he is an elder.
Yeah.
So he is pretty healthy.
Yeah.
He lasted pretty long.
He makes it to elder
Nice
status, which is
Heck
pretty
yeah.
good.
Those shots.
Yeah.
Those shots.
He got his rabies shot. He got his
Physical
feline
specimen.
feline virus shots.
I don't know if they do this because I haven't read all the Warrior Cats books, but if there is ever a major plague that hits ThunderClan, like many years in the future, and Cloudtail's the only one who's not getting sick, it's like, I don't know what's happening here, but you guys are weak.
Yeah.
There's just like a vaccine coursing through his veins. Like human intervention. He's like, it must be StarClan.
Yeah.
StarClan's like, I don't know what's wrong with that one, but something's off.
No, actually for Cloudtail it would be the reverse because he doesn't believe in StarClan. So he'd be like, oh, it's because of the anti-vax law.
Before I forget, I did want to say, in past episodes, I had misinterpreted what the cat chronology of 6 moons was in reference to. I thought 6 moons referred to 6 days.
No, it's months.
It's months.
Yeah.
Because that whole thing of like, a kit must be 6 moons old before they can be a warrior. I was like, 6 days old? I know they grow faster than people, but like, oh my gosh. But no, it's 6 months. Because there's like another line early in the books where it was Firestar, when he was a kitty pet, he was a kitty pet for 6 whole moons. And I'm like, 6 days? That's not much time at all. For half that time, he couldn't even see or have a single sentient thought. But no, it's 6 months, so that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Blue Star, Spruce Kit's eyes have just opened. Good. Time for battle. Quick, throw the babies at the enemy. They'll distract them while we go in for the kill.
Just picturing all these like tiny little kittens just flying through the air.
Just like all floppy, no bones. Just like,
go, warriors!
That's when they get real desperate. So Cloudtail, he gets kidnapped by the humans. And the funny thing is, he gets brought back to wherever he was kidnapped from, but because he doesn't know WindClan's territory, he's never been outside of ThunderClan except for when he was a real little baby. So he thinks he's super far away from home. And then Fireheart runs into Ravenpaw, and Ravenpaw's like, hey, I'm pretty sure I saw like a ThunderClan cat. He's just like stuck in this human's home. And Fireheart's like, yeah, I think I know who that is.
Deep sigh.
Yeah.
they walk for a day and they're like, there he is. Hey, come here. Come here. What did you do? All right, let's go home.
Yeah. So they rescue Cloudtail. He comes back, and now he's learned his lesson. He's like, I'm not going to go and get human food. I'm going to stick to the warrior code as best I can. But honestly, I think that experience maybe contributed more to his lack of belief in StarClan. I was thinking about this actually because in books 1 through 3, or I mean wherever he shows up, he doesn't really believe in StarClan, but he doesn't blatantly say like StarClan's not real until book 4 and 5. That's when he specifically says, yeah, I thought StarClan was just like a fairy tale for kids.
It's because he's seen like the Cthulhuoid
Yeah.
versions of creatures in his universe. He's lived with the 2 legs.
Or maybe there are other cats who like told him. I don't know. I just think it's like potentially.
He goes to the vet and they're carrying him through the vet in a little carrying cage, and he looks around and there's dozens of cats screaming, "God's dead! Why have you forsaken us, StarClan? Let me out of this metal cage." He's like, "Oh, right. Check. Got it."
Meanwhile, the vets are just like, eat this pill. And they're like, why have you forsaken me, God? I will literally crunch it up in your food. You won't even know it's there. Ah, StarClan has forsaken
It's
me.
roast chicken flavor. It's delicious. Please. If you don't, you'll die.
Ah, a
Yeah.
fate worse than death. A tiny pill. No, not eye drops.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Anyways, Cloudtail comes back. Shortly after, they get attacked by dogs. There's the wait.
It's the two apprentices, because Cloudpaw becomes Cloudtail because Blue Star
yeah,
sees another
yeah.
atheist and goes, "You! You are now warrior. The rest of these trash believers, they will never achieve warrior status." And Cloudtail's like, "This is kind of sus. I don't know. Okay." And the other
Yeah.
apprentices are, understandably, very upset. And they're like, all we need to do is prove ourselves by killing a dog, I guess.
They wanted to, I just think, just find it.
Yeah, they wanted to
They found it.
investigate. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They found
they
a lot.
They found the dogs.
Yeah. It's really sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kids die.
Yeah, so Swiftpaw and Brightpaw go to try and prove themselves, but they think it's just one dog, and it turns out there's a whole pack of them.
And these dang writers, these dang Erin Hunters, they spend the whole book building Swiftpaw up to be like
Yeah.
this really sick, like cool, nice, sweet apprentice.
See, Swiftpaw was the cat who I
Yeah.
couldn't remember what his warrior name was.
Like Swiftpaw shows up in every chapter. He's like always like, "Hey, Fireheart, I'm great." And Fireheart's like, "You're great, Swiftpaw." And then Swiftpaw's like, "Fireheart, I really want to be a warrior."
And Fireheart's like, yeah, like
Yeah,
you've been
we'll
an
do
apprentice
it.
for a while.
And
I
then
think it's
Erin
time.
Hunter kills him.
Yeah. Swiftpaw dies a horrible bloody death. Brightpaw does not die, but she gets pretty badly hurt. Sorry, this is kind of graphic. She gets her whole half of her face ripped off.
Her whole half.
She gets two-faced.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she loses an eye. One of her ears gets ripped. She still has hearing. It's just she can't see out of one eye. She's pretty weak and she's traumatized.
Mm.
But Cloudtail stays by her side the whole time that she is recovering.
Cloudtail loves her.
Yes. And after she recovers more, Fireheart's like, I think she's got to go to the Elder's Den because I don't think she can be a warrior. And Cloudtail's like, no, like I know that she can do it. And he helps her train new tactics to fight that don't require both eyes. And so it's really cool, actually. Fireheart always describes the way that she weaves around constantly so you can never get on her blind side. She's very conscious of the fact that if a cat gets on her blind side, that's her weak spot. So she's constantly on the move, and she beats cats who are far more experienced than she is, and she gets to be a warrior at the end. So that's pretty cool.
It is like they go into detail with it. This very sort of like asymmetric way of like fighting.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting visual. I almost imagine like a skink wiggling back and forth, like motion blur on, just like every which way. Blue Star does have one of her worst moments.
This was emotionally devastating as a kid.
Oh my gosh. This is how much it impacts. You all had told me about this specific plot point, and I had forgotten about it up until the moment it actually happened.
Yeah.
Because they bait and switch you.
The two apprentices who were attacked by the dog, the other cats are like, "Hey, Blue Star, this happened because you didn't make them warriors. They just wanted to be warriors. Brightpaw is dying. Can you please make her a warrior so she can at least have this when she goes to StarClan?" And Blue Star says, "All right, your name is now Lost Face." And the rest of the cats are like, "What? You can't do that." And Blue Star's like, "I'm the villain of this book. Goodbye."
Blue Star basically says that Lost Face will be a constant reminder of StarClan abandoning ThunderClan.
Which is brutal.
It's horrible.
It's pretty wild. I'm
Yeah.
sending you living thing, are my message in a bottle to God. Like,
It's
whoa.
wild. And the rest of the cats, every time they have to say her name, they are viscerally uncomfortable with it. They want to say anything else, but they can't because of the law of their clan leader. And finally, when
Except for
Fireheart-
Cloudtail.
Except for
Cloudtail's like, I'm
Cloudtail.
not following that rule.
Yeah. Cloudtail's the best. I take back everything I've said about Cloudpaw. And then finally, Fireheart ascends to leadership and goes, "All right, number one thing. Hey, you're Brightheart now. That's way better. I'm so sorry about that. Brightheart. All right.
Yeah.
Let's deal with this other stuff.
Yes. we
Like
love
Scourge.
Brightheart. Yeah.
Oh,
Scourge.
baby
Scourge and his fun nails.
Scourge has somehow attached the teeth and claws of like other
I
animals.
think it's specifically dog's teeth,
Yes.
which is, we try not to talk about the books we read before we do the podcast, but Victoria, Michael, and I keep bringing this up because it's so mind-boggling. How does a cat without opposable thumbs collect dog's teeth and then affix them to his claws?
very carefully.
Very carefully. And then he can't retract his claws, so his claws are just always out with these big dog's teeth on them.
Yeah.
That seems inconvenient for everything except specifically fighting other cats, I guess.
Which he seems to do a lot.
Yeah. They also have jewelry. The cats of BloodClan have collars, and they have affixed dog's teeth and cat's teeth and bones and such to their collars. How? How have they done this?
I mean, at least in that case, it's like they just punch the teeth through the collar.
that's still a level
That's
of dexterity that I would never expect from even these magical fantasy cats.
It's
Yeah.
pretty funny to imagine, though, because BloodClan is by far the most, like, we all work together out of, like, brute force necessity of just we don't have a lot to eat, and we're just this giant group of raiding, murderous cats who are just going to take whatever we want, and we only follow Scourge because he is a literal force of nature. He, like, cannot be stopped. And yet to imagine them, it takes like 4 of them together to like lay out a collar and a dog's tooth and carefully like, all right, just put it. No, not that one. That one's kind of jagged. I want this one. This one looks really cool. Okay, now put it under the collar there, and I'm just gonna push down. No, stop. It's careful. And good. Okay, we have to do this 18 more times. It's just
No wonder they're so out for blood.
And then they have to put it back on the cat. Like the medicine cat's like chewing up herbs and rolling them into little like bundles. Like that's fairly believable because
Yeah.
they're just using paw motions to do everything. I want to see a cat in like full armor with like a spear, just like, we're BloodClan. We have tools. Man has taught us how to conquer nature. And Fireheart's like, what?
Speaking of dogs' teeth, though, we got to talk about what Michael says is the most metal line of the entire series.
Okay, there's 2 particularly metal lines in these books. They're both in book 6. The first is a spoken line by Tiger Star, and it's when Fireheart and Greystripe and Ravenpaw, they get the gang back together. It's a real cool sequence.
I love them.
Yeah.
They're so good.
When they go to rescue Greystripe's kits. Because originally they just go to like, we're just going to go check on him because we don't know what's going on in Tiger Clan.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just see. And I was expecting like bad stuff because of course, but I was not expecting how freaking like insane it was.
The pure blood rhetoric of Tiger Clan.
Oh my gosh.
And the big pile of bones. This is where we live now, this bone pile.
They come over the bend or over the hill and like Firestar is just like, what the fuck? Because it's described that the river has been stopped up with a dam made of corpses, just prey slaughtered and stuffed into the river to block it for seemingly no reason. I don't understand why they did that. Why
It's
they just
like a show of power.
I guess, but it's insane. And then there's
It's a
just a
waste of
giant
food.
hill of bones.
Yeah.
And Tiger Star sitting on the bones, and he says, "Gather round the Bonehill for a clan meeting." And you're like, whoa, this has escalated real fast.
Yes.
There's just like smoke everywhere for no reason and skeleton crows flying past, and they've all got face painted leather like straps everywhere.
I'm like, did we walk into Mordor or something? What the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And then the most meta line is like Tiger Star deserves like everything that's coming to him. And my feelings on what happens at the end of book 6, this like sudden reverse of like, actually Scourge is the big bad. This cat that we meet for a brief moment in the prologue and then just kind of have a little bit at the end. He's actually the big bad. He's the one that Firestar has to beat. Like my feelings on it are mixed. Like it feels like a bit of a bait and switch and kind of like we build up Tiger Star so much over the course of these 3 books. At the same time, I'm like, you know, 1, you want Tiger Star to get his comeuppance, but 2, you maybe don't want, given all of the complicated stuff going on between Firestar and Bramblepaw.
Yeah, and also just tensions between other clans. It probably wouldn't go over as well if Firestar kills Tigerstar.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, that just continues the fighting.
Yeah, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, and it doesn't really solve anything.
You have to kill Tigerstar 9 times.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
nine times maximum, but like,
And
you don't
also
know how many
then,
lives he
like,
has.
because they form Tiger Clan, then you have to deal with Leopard Star and then, like, their deputies.
A
and
lot
it's
of,
just,
like, obligation from
Yeah.
a warrior code. So it is very clean when Scourge is the one to do it. And the most meta line, of course, being Tigerstar trying to kill Scourge after Scourge is like, okay, I just realized, Scourge is like, I realize I just stepped into a very complicated political web here, and I'm realizing my ally is a lot more untrustworthy than I thought. I'm just gonna like take a day to think about this before we actually fight. And Tigerstar is like, you piece of, you jerk, I'm gonna kill you now and take BloodClan for my own. And Scourge absolutely wrecks him. And it describes Scourge with his with his Wolverine claws, his like Marvel Wolverine claws, like swiping a clear gash from Tigerstar's like tip to his tail, just all the way down. And it describes like Tigerstar basically just like all coming apart, and Firestar looking at this happening, and Tigerstar fading out into unconsciousness and then gasping back to life and then fading out again and gasping back to life. And Firestar goes, oh my God, he's dying 9 times and it's the most metal thing. And you're like, okay, this is a pretty solid death for Tigerstar. Like, this is pretty great.
Yeah.
It's like insane also because Scourge is described as being a really small cat. Even Tigerstar doesn't see him as a threat. Even though he is the leader of BloodClan, Tigerstar's like, ha, you puny little child. I can beat you in a fight any day. But Scourge really proves himself. And it's also like, it is a death of Tigerclaw's own making because he's the one who made the deal with BloodClan. He's the one who underestimated Scourge. And so in that way, it is like just an overall fitting death for Tigerstar. But it's really graphic. I was reading it and I was like, if you think about it too long, it's bad. Don't think about it too long. You literally can't. Because yes, it is kind of unsatisfying because Tigerstar's been the villain for the last 6 books. But it also, the impact is so huge. Not just for the reader, but for all these other cats. Because they see Tigerstar as the most powerful cat in the forest. And this one guy kills him 9 times over in one fell swoop.
So good.
Like, it's insane.
And it really helps like increase the stakes for when Firestar has to fight him in the end, because Firestar realizes if he gets a move like that off on me, it doesn't matter that I have 9 lives, I'm toast. Firestar does avoid that specific move at least once or twice in his final battle with Scourge.
Still dies once, but uses that to his advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprise, I'm back. Whack, 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 whack.
Yeah, I think actually in a way because
Save
Scourge...
state, respawn. Sorry.
I think in a way because Scourge kills Tigerstar so quickly, he doesn't learn about the 9 lives thing. He's just probably like, oh, it's weird that he convulsed and then...
kept doing it for a while.
Got a lot of blood in this guy.
Yeah, so Scourge is really shocked when he sees Fireheart come back to life. Because what happens is he kills Fireheart, and then he probably leaves him.
Well, Cloudtail attacks Scourge.
Yeah.
To
Sees
distract him.
Fireheart pass away once and goes, oh, I don't believe in StarClan. Let's go. and
Okay,
tries
here's
to take
also
revenge.
my thing about Cloudtail. Literally, you watched Firestar die and then come back to life, still not believing in StarClan. I mean, that's valid. I just think it's kind of funny sometimes. Like you said in
I
the
love
first
that.
episode.
You watch someone die and resurrect out of nowhere. Still valid not to believe it. Something's getting strange there, but okay.
Yeah. Like, sometimes I think Cloudtail is just like, nope, I don't see it. I am looking away.
He's a precocious little guy, but I
Yeah.
really like him. It's interesting looking at a lot of like fantasy that'll have like, I don't know, Game of Thrones is an easy thing to grab, but there's all kinds of fantasy where it seems like you start with a setting in which there's a lot of factionalism, And then the whole point of it is we all have to unite. And then once we deal with our common threat or whatever, we'll all be united and that united state will stay and we'll all be together. But these books are very different because we start with factionalism, and it's a factionalism that seems to have been like specifically designed in the past as a fix to a prior system. The prior system supposedly being like Lion Clan or Tiger Clan or something. I don't know enough about the lore to say it, but it implies that there was like once a single clan, and then through the influence of maybe Star Clan, maybe the Living Clan, maybe both, it was determined, okay, we have to separate into 4 different clans. They unite at the end of book 6, again into Lion Clan. It's very unofficial. It's literally Star Clan saying to Firestar, you must reunite Lion Clan. And as like all the forest clans are coming together, Firestar is just like saying to himself, hey, yeah, we're Lion Clan. I'm not going to say it to everyone because it'll probably like freak them out on a political level, but I know.
Yeah.
And then after they beat BloodClan, they separate into 4 clans again. I thought it was a very interesting idea because Tiger Star makes a case of like, we're facing more and more threats. We must unite into Tiger Clan. And you'll all still have autonomy over your clans, but also I'll have autonomy over your clans. And so the book makes this interesting case of like, I don't know, decentralization or something in a weird way.
Yeah, you can almost imagine Lion Clan and Tiger Clan, the only 2 powers in the forest, constantly clashing. They're the only 2 governments, so they're going to butt heads all the time. You split into 4, you give each one of them a speciality.
Yeah.
And then there's less competition, there's more political diversity. If one clan's doing worse, it's not going to immediately let the other clan take over. There's like 2 other clans to contend with. Victoria and I did look at the modern warrior code, which they just updated in the most recent series.
They challenged the warrior code. Now that so much has happened, a lot of the cats come together and they're like, I don't think this warrior code is working anymore. Let's redo it.
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into like specific spoilery stuff, but the general vibe is that they have gone from 4 separate states with a built-in system of diplomacy to a single pseudo-state with 4 separate governments. Almost like a United States, each with their own individual leader, but with a system of checks and balances that the other states have input into the general governing of each individual clan. So like the leader of Wind Clan, there's a certain check and balances that the other 3 leaders can have influence over whether that leader remains in leadership.
Interesting.
They added something to the warrior code where it said a leader can actually basically be impeached by their clan. If the clan as a whole comes together and says, I don't think you're serving our clan the way that you're supposed to, and if your clan decides that this leader can't be leader anymore, that doesn't mean that they immediately don't become leader. You actually have to go to the other 3 leaders, or 4 leaders technically, at that point. And they all also have to say, yeah.
And there's a lot of rules about like switching clans now. Like there's a whole system for it with like trials to switch clans and whatnot. And there's systems for retiring now. Cats retired in this series, but now there's like a written rule about it. There's stuff about how the deputies can't overthrow their clan leaders. It's really interesting, the evolution of the political system of these forest cats.
Well, my thing was just so much happened in this first series. I'm kind of surprised that it took so long for this to happen. Because like you see in the series, not only does a lot of death happen because of inter-clan romances, there's also Blue Star who basically like brings her clan down a lot just because of her poor leadership.
I will say though, they don't get to it in the next series because they do not have time to do it.
Yes, I guess that's true. I guess a lot of stuff happens.
A huge upheaval of the status quo for a number of reasons.
I'm currently looking for... I had mentioned that I listened to like a fan dub of like the whole thing of the first book. But for books 2 through 6, I listened to like the, I think, official audiobook. Can't find the name of the person who reads them. McLeod Andrews. In book 6, there's that scene where Tiger Star is telling Fireheart, join me in Tiger Clan. And Firestar's like, dude, what do you even, after everything? No. And in that scene in particular, it's like they know their time with Tiger Star is limited. He's going to die pretty soon. Because it's like they tell McLeod Andrews, to just go all in on your Tiger Star voice. And he just sinks into that performance. The way he just digs into Firestar. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm melting. As for reading more Warrior Cats books, I'm open to it. I didn't get super emotionally invested all the time. And I think maybe part of that was just because, especially books 2 and 3, I was just so angry at Greystripe so much of the time. My only emotion was anger. But at the end of book 5, I got a little choked up when all of the turmoil between Firestar and Bluestar and how much they meant to each other, but how she was coming apart and all the conflict between them. When she saves him out of nowhere and without even thinking, he jumps into the river after her and he's trying to get her and she apologizes to him in the end. And I was just like, I'm okay. I'm fine. So I would be open to reading more Warrior Cats. It's just a daunting idea is all.
I will say 5 and 6 of the first series are definitely one of the peaks of the Warrior Cats canon. Series 2, from what I recall, it takes the Warrior Cats formula that's been established and really turns it on its head. And you get a bunch of new locations, you get a bunch of new cats. And I think it's a really interesting series. Series 3, I think, is also pretty good. But then at a certain point, it does kind of hit diminishing returns as the storylines get a little stranger. And the characters act a little weirder. And the magic gets a little more magic-y. And you're like, how did we get here? They're time-traveling, swapping bodies, ghost dad? I don't want to say they're bad now. But as a kid, I did hit a point where I stopped reading because things just got too overwhelming, perhaps. But if we do want to read Series 2, I do highly recommend it.
Okay.
I think Series 2 at least is worth possibly getting into. Mm-hmm. But time will tell.
Time will tell. And we are out of it now. I don't know. I haven't looked at the clock.
Yes, we are out of time.
Well, this has been Warrior Cat Series 1. Thanks for listening. And until next time, get a manicure, because it can help you kill your enemies.
Thank you for listening to Nostalgia Club. If you enjoyed this episode, follow us on Twitter at _Nostalgia Club and on Instagram at Nostalgia Club Podcast. Leave a comment, give us a rating, and subscribe. You could also send us an email with your suggestions for what we should review next at nostalgiaclubpodcast@gmail.com.
Hello.
Hi, Casey. It's Michael. How's it going?
Good.
Excellent. I'm very glad for you. I recently, with Jino and Victoria, we finished reading the rest of the Warrior Cats series. The first series, that is. Do you vaguely remember some of the other books we were talking about with that?
They were cats and they were warriors.
That's pretty. Yeah, that pretty much encapsulates it.
Oh my God.
The last few books it's 3 books, which is as many books as I have described to you so far. But I'd like to summate the plots of those 3 final books to you in under a minute, if I could.
Yeah, if you could, that would be great.
If I could. All right. Well, here goes. Last we left off, Tiger Claw was evicted from ThunderClan, and Fireheart has to take over a lot of deputy duties from Bluestar because she's sort of losing her mind after the treachery. Oh, gosh. There's a lot of stuff that happens. There's a fire. Yellowfang, his medicine cat mentor lady, dies. Tiger Claw becomes the leader of Shadow Clan and is now Tiger Star, and he's got 9 lives. And Fireheart's really perturbed about that. A bunch of guard dogs get loose in the forest, and Bluestar, though she loses her mind, sacrifices herself to save Fireheart, promotes him to Firestar. Tiger Star wants to unite all the clans under his autocratic leadership, and Firestar resists. An alley cat with his own clan named BloodClan, this cat is named Scourge, kills Tiger Star to take him out of the way, threatens all the other cats who all band together and destroy Scourge and BloodClan, and Firestar and the other cats are able to live happily for a while. The end.
That was
That is
incredible.
a lot of stars.
It really is a lot of stars.
Blood Star, Shadow Star, Cat Star, Mat Star.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I don't know how you keep all that
It's
organized, because that's like on layers on top of layers on top of, like, that story's got 9 lives and just keeps spinning all of them.
yeah, I swear it's not a nice file cabinet. I'm just ripping papers out of piles and going, oh, this one. But yeah, that is, you now know intermittently the first whole series of Warrior Cats. How does it feel?
Wow.
How does it feel?
It feels pretty doggone good.
You never let us down, Casey.
I try not to.
Well, thanks. Have a good one.
You too. And you know what's funny? This entire time you've been talking to me, I've had a dog trying to lick my face, trying to get to eat. So he's very hungry right now. So I think he's not happy that there's cats. He wants a story about a dog.
You're probably right. The dogs in this one are just sort of mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I'll keep my dog mouth away from my dog words out of my mouth.
Are you tired?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Yes,
I'll let you go. I'll let you go. Bye.
Well done, Michael. You did not let that cat get your tongue.
Oh, and that's the end of the episode.
Yay!
Yay!
Casey is so done with us calling him.
Who wants which book?
Let's Rochambeau for it.
Okay, so winner gets book 4, I guess, in this scenario?
We'll figure out what it means after we Rochambeau.
No, hold on.
No, this is too complicated.
That's never a good way to do things.
I will start with book 4, and then we'll just go in a circle.
Fair enough.
Cool.
Yes. Okay.
Clockwise or counterclockwise?
Clockwise.
Rochambeau for it. No. Clockwise.
Winner gets clockwise.
Sorry, I'm just trying to sidetrack us.
Michael's trying so hard. Michael, I wrote a whole script, a whole outline.
Trying to keep us on schedule, not if I can help it.